A young lady was returning a radio to Dion's. She had come in to buy an AM radio. She happened to be blonde, and she said she wanted one that she could listen to at night as well. So I'd like to welcome each and every one of you, and a special welcome to His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Eduardo Rafael from Mozambique, and that's from Portugal. Sorry, I didn't mention your country of origin. Thank you for being here. From Mozambique, the Consul General, Dr. Matia, and a very special welcome from Centec to Malamile Boy. I want to say that every single one of you is LM Radio's VIP. We love you as our listeners. Each and every one are very, very special to us. LM Radio is all about the music. Our ethos is to have no religion, no politics. It's just good radio, and that means lots and lots of music. I saw this in the Daily Maverick yesterday, and I thought that this was very apt. It's by Kurt Vonnegut. I don't know who Kurt Vonnegut is, but I need to Google him later. But he had this to say: no matter how corrupt, greedy, and heartless our government, our corporations, our media, and our religious and charitable institutions may become, the music will still be wonderful. Welcome to Adega restaurant, right here. Thank you very much to them for hosting us. We will be having lunch and a wine tasting a little later by the wonderful 1813 Boutique Wine Shop, which is based in Cedar Square. They do a whole lot, so please, we're going to have those tastings a bit later, and go up there and listen to what they have to say, and we really appreciate them being here. We'd like to introduce Chris Turner, who right now has come to fruition a dream that he had many, many years ago.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. And we have some messages from some special people as well who were involved with LM Radio. In the early days, before we relaunched it, I'd like to welcome John Burke's Stan Katz, who wasn't LM Radio, but he was on Swazi Radio. Andre Leon de Swart, who was with the SABC, but he was also a producer on LM Radio, and all my fellow colleagues and friends, and we call the LM family. So we're going to kick off with some special messages. Firstly, we're going to hear from David Gresham, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but he's recorded a message for us, a bit of nostalgia. Then I'm going to call on John Burks to come and say a few words, and Andre Leon. I think it's Andre first and then John, if I'm not mistaken. So let's kick off with that message then from David Gresham.
There's a place we say, have a happy day. Oh yes, they were. And hi from me, David Gresham, to all who have joined together for the official launch of LM Radio in Gauteng. What an outstanding contribution to radio. My broadcast career began at LM Radio with David Davies at the helm. LM Radio were the innovators, the supporters of South African music. And when the Beatles were banned by the SABC in South Africa, LM Radio was there, taking South African audiences down the long and winding road. Our mentor at the time was the towering David Davies. On his retirement, many of us recorded a short farewell. Listen to the voices of Barry O'Donoghue, Clark McKay, Bob Whitfield, myself, John Burks, Darryl Euster, and Gary Edwards. Here's Barry O'Donoghue, known as Barry O.D.
Well, you all heard about David's COD trip out here. Now, of course, a little later on in his career, they sent a BOD down to Lorenzo and he had all sorts of new kind of trouble down there. Quite seriously though, I'm sure I speak for everyone when I say that of course David was Mr. LM, and we all really love him, and no less myself, and I'm very happy that I was back from Rhodesia in time to be at this gathering, because it is a great gathering to see so many of the old LM types all together around the daddy of them all, DD himself. So all the best, and from Denny and little old me, BOD, all the best to you and Brenda. Bon voyage, and lots of luck. We hope to see you soon. Who's next?
And Clark McKay as Lucky McKay.
I used to have a lot of fun in my life. I still do now and again. But it appears around about 1952 and 1953 I was at Ciro's nightclub in Johannesburg. And somebody introduced me to David Davies. I don't remember too much about this because in those days I was really enjoying myself. And it appears that my first words, according to David Davies, were, "So you're that loudmouth bastard on LM." Or some such. There's a funny way of things work out in life that around about, how many years, 12 years later, 11 years later, David was in a hotel bar in Sydney watching television, and I came on the television screen, and he says, "There's that bloody Australian bastard, I better give him a job." I took the job and came back to Africa. Well, it's a long, long story, but I would like to tell you that I don't regret anything at all. Quiet dog. And I've also, as David said, we've had a few arguments. He said difference of opinion. We had arguments, boy. We wouldn't muck around. But in the Reader's Digest, they have used to have quite a great series called The Most Unforgettable Character I've Ever Met. And I think if I've got 2 or 3 that I know, David's certainly way up top of that list. With Brendan and David, a very happy trip, and I hope there's 100 commercial radio stations. You have 50 of them. And for 1,000 quid a week, or whatever it is over there, I'll be out like a shot. I'll swim. Here's Bob Whitfield.
Well, hi. And a special hi to David, who's been a tremendous influence in my life, both announcer-wise and especially friendship-wise. These sort of friendships are tremendously important in one's life, and I can only say a very, very big thank you to David Davis. John, David. Here we come. Nitty-gritty coming up.
Hello from nitty-gritty David question. In my life, David Davies is a very important person because we lived close to each other in Swaziland, and one day he came up to the headmaster of the school and said, "We'll organize a tour for the Standard 8s and the Matrics to come down to Lorenzo Marx." And I was in that batch, and when I got down there, I said, "How does one become a radio announcer?" And everybody says, "You're mad, you'll never get in." And about 3-4 years later, I auditioned for LM Radio, and I think at that time there was 2 or 3 other broadcasters who were auditioning, and they were a lot better. And David said something to the effect of, "Well, I know that chap, and I think he's going to work for us. I think he'll be good." And that was the next step, and I was into LM Radio. So it was you, David, who gave me what I've got now, and I think I've got a tremendous deal out of radio and records in South Africa. So I say a very special thank you to John, who started it all for me, to little John, your son. And I say thank you very much and wish you and Brenda all the very, very best. And I hope to see you in London one day. Thanks.
The inimitable John Burns.
Well, I first met David Davies many years back. I never forget, in fact, stop clapping this. In fact, he once fired me, he did. But he called me back in the office, he said, "We might as well go down to the palace and sort the whole bloody thing out," which we did. But anyway, I've written you a long letter, David, so I won't, use up all the tape, because if I had to carry on about you, I'll turn this place into a barn before it's over. But I'd like to say bon voyage, and God bless you and Brenda, and you, I think Virginia's a great deal of us, so, take care. Yeah, all right. I call him Daryl. Daryl is that.
I haven't got very much to say other
that I went to work for David when I was 17, and I stayed down there for 7 years, so I must really have liked working for him. And if I must have, either that or there was something wrong with me, one of the two. And I look forward to one day perhaps having the opportunity of working for you again, David.
And Gary Edwards.
My first association with David, I think, was like most South Africans via the radio. As a very small boy, I used to tune into him morning and night rather than do homework. But my first meeting was at Davenport Mayor's office in Commission Street. And I was ushered into the presence by Rob Vickers. And I found David sitting in, I think, what is a very typical pose with his feet on the desk. And I'd done an audition just a couple of days before that, and he rambled on about doing and the Lorenz marks, and it was good and it was bad, and went on and on and on. Eventually he said, well, you know, do you want the job or don't you? And there I was, and I had a very happy 3 years with Lorenz marks. And I thank you very much, David, for the start you gave me. I wish you and Brenda lots of luck in the future.
Well, wonderful little message there, and some nostalgia from David Gresham, so thank you very much to him. This really is a family radio station, and I apologise, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Chris Daffy of Daybreak with Daffy every Saturday and Sunday, 6 to 9. Why I say that we are a family is that I'm following in the footsteps, and very proudly so, of my father, Mike Daffy, who was on LM Radio in the 50s with David Davies, and he used to say, that little shit destroyed my hearing, because he insisted on having every single knob, monitor, cans, and whatever else you were listening to on full blast. So I actually think it was just an excuse for my father, because he had very selective hearing, and sometimes he just wanted to sort of zone out, so to speak. It's very nice here. We heard from Barry there, and funny enough, we do have Bridget Odie here, who is Barry's niece. So there's Bridgie. So thanks very much for being here. It's great to have the family here celebrating with us. I'd like to introduce Andre Leon. He's going to come and say a few words to us. And he was David Davies and Rob Vickers' producer for many, many years. So thanks very much for coming all the way here. And without further ado, Andre.
So you've got to get the microphone in the right position. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm still glad to be alive. I think I'm the oldest member going back to 1963. And I'd like to start off by saying 3 cheers to Chris Turner for keeping the dream alive. The station is sounding really great, and I'm so thrilled to hear it broadcasting on medium wave here in Gauteng. It's a great privilege for me to be here in many senses, because I've got very fond memories. I came to start my job at LM Radio. I was working in Durban at Eric Merrill Radio Productions, and on one occasion David Davies had to record the famous LM Hit Parade in our studios. Tom Meehan and Henry Diffenthal didn't have the signature tunes and links for the hit parade that I did, having been a collector as a schoolboy. So we managed to save the day and record the LM Hit Parade to be sent to the station in Mozambique at the time. Shortly after that, I was then invited to join the station at Davenport and Mayor, and I seem to recall that people were very nervous of David in the building. He was very commanding when he came in, and people used to whisper and say, "Mr. Davies is in the building." And I think I said, and so he should be, because it's time to record the LM Hit Parade. And I think he rather liked that style. But having been rather a precocious young man of 17 at the time, I seem to recall that on the second occasion I recorded with him, I pushed the button on the Revox remote in the studio on play, and the tape ran round, but I wasn't recording. And we recorded the entire hit parade perfectly. And I had to admit when he left to go to lunch, that I hadn't pushed the right button. But I thought I would certainly be fired on that day. And you know, he was so kind-hearted, he came back and he said, look, Andre, he said, let's record the speech tracks and you edit it together, you won't have a lunch break today. So he was a really very, very kind gentleman. And I really must say that it was the stepping stone for me to join LM Radio and get this wonderful experience. I was in the right place at the right time. And after that, I joined the SABC and worked with my colleague Wouter de Wet, who is here today. We've been friends for 50 years, but I was very fortunate to meet Chris Turner in London when he came to ask me about some of the signature tunes and the memorabilia that he needed to put this great radio station back on track. And all I can say, for me, it is the greatest pleasure in my entire radio career to come to a place where it all started and may it continue well for a lifetime.
Thank you very much, Andre. Back we come. There we go, much better. So, yep, this is really a family radio station, and most of you know Malcolm Gooding. He and my father were great chums and did a lot of recording up in Rhodesia at APL. And keeping it in the family, guess what? His son is my wife's gynecologist. This man needs no introduction, but I will do my best. LBJ, what a boykie, Berksy. My father once bumped into him at the Rand Easter show, and Berksy said to him, Mike, you're the reason I got into radio. I'm sure it wasn't spot on or truthful, however, Berksy, you made my father's year. Yes, John.
The gentleman who spoke 4 minutes ago was the very man that was the controller, presentation assistant, whatever you called him in those days, plus a couple of words that started with a B, was Andre de Swat, who now lives in London. Did you recognize me? It's very important, you know, when you reach a stage and age when you have a reunion kind of deal of folks that used to be on what was LM Radio, and you were there, and I was there, and I'm talking around about 1963, 1964. Now, hang on a second. This man's got something to say.
John, I remember the day of your audition. I was so nervous because I knew you were going to be big sometime, and I recognized you there, but I was on, so I responded like just stoop.
All right.
But you've done so well in your career, and I'm so proud.
Bless you. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. That's very nice. Andre. Yep. Someone referred to Chris Turner as a man who lived a dream. And I would like to think that I lived a dream. My dream was to be a radio announcer, but I was pretty dumb at school. I left school, I think I was 19 and started 6. The principal said to me, it's an embarrassment to have you around. You've grown a bloody beard. I've seen you ride a motorbike and drive a car.